Oh,
I
yeah.
as of this week have made the switch from Sublime Text to VS Code,
Oh, fuck.
and
Fuck yes,
Wow.
finally.
Wow.
Thank
VS
God.
Code is so much better than I thought it was,
Yeah, it is.
especially with Copilot.
Yes.
Copilot fucking blows me away. Like, I type the first 2 letters of, like, a comment for a function,
Mhm.
and it, like, knows exactly, and it does everything. It's almost always right. Like, I'm working on some SaaS for a redesign of my website, and I type a dollar sign, and it knows what
It knows.
variable I wanna fill in. I put in, like, a font face definition, and then I move down a line and type an @ symbol, and it just figures out what font files are in my folder and creates all the font face definitions for all of them. I can turn a Ruby comment. I can just write a comment about what I want a function to do, and it'll write a perfect, and not just a function based on an LLM, it's a function based on all of the other files in my project. And it can reference variables and methods from other files, and it's just shit Sublime will never do.
No.
And it's taking a little bit of getting used to with setting up key combinations and
Mhm.
everything. And there's some frustration around keyboard shortcuts, especially when they overlap. And
Yeah.
but I'm figuring it out, and the configuration is pretty easy compared to Sublime, like the graphical interface for, because you can view your config as JSON or as
Exactly.
an
As a graphical.
interface,
Yes.
and sometimes you have to open up JSON to
Yes.
add custom features and whatnot. But all that said, it is a really solid editor, and I am really enjoying it.
I'm so glad to hear that you finally, like, moved because I know because it's one of those things, like, it's hard to make the move. Like,
Mm,
I did it because I worked at Microsoft at the time and know and still know, frankly, a lot of people who work on that team, and I know a lot of people who work on the Copilot extensions, so I'm very glad to hear your feedback on that. If you have other feedback, positive or negative, please let me know, and I can get that to the right
I have
folks.
like zero negative feedback. I am just constantly blown away by how good it is.
No, they do such a good job and really, like, keep making that so much better, with so many constraints and, extensions which are in, preview right now, but will be coming later, although well, there are 2 types of extensions, but there are Copilot extensions, that can exist in VS Code so that certain you can use the agents feature to basically ask an extension in chat various things that powered by Copilot. I don't know if you've played around with that or not. Like some
A
of the
little bit,
built-in
yeah.
ones are like at Workspace and at Terminal and at VS Code, but other extensions can add those things too, which is really cool because then in your chat interface you can just ask specific things about a certain extension or service, as the case may be, which is really fucking useful. But like, no, I know how hard it is to go from like, one editor to another, even if there are a lot of advantages around. And even if like, in my case, it was TextMate and it was like, this is never getting updated again. Like this is dead in the water. But it's hard to like move editors.
Mhm.
And but I'm glad to hear that you were enjoying VS Code. If you come up with like I would be interested to see at some point like your key bindings and settings files. That's one of the things they've improved a lot over the last few years. Like at first, you used to have to you could only edit settings in the JSON, and then they started adding the graphical interface, and most things are there, but not everything is.
Right.
Brett
Um,
likes to keep his key bindings to himself.
well, I would
No,
just
wait,
like
Right.
no, I take that back. I take that back. He wrote War and Peace, but it was key bindings.
right,
Sorry,
exactly,
go ahead,
exactly.
Christina.